but my high school environment could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
And I was not any less intelligent than someone who was able to afford a private school.
Mm.
And the students that I met in this program were extremely bright, and I was like, okay, they deserve to be told the same things that are assumed at private school.
Yeah. I guess I'm trying to get what I'm trying to understand, and I'm not trying to get anywhere in particular. I'm just trying to get your perspective. Is that it seems to me that you're interested in education. You think education is important, but that you don't necessarily need to be a teacher in order for education to have an impact on children's lives.
I mean, I guess that schools are probably the most important and the most impactful thing on students' lives, but I also wanted to pay attention to, I wanted to step out a little bit broader.
Yeah.
As well. So you can go directly to the school system, but if you're also trying to create cities that foster innovation or creative thinking or create jobs that are not only available to certain schools and are not only located in New York where no one can afford to live there. There were some companies in VFA that, there was one that was kind of based off of a gym that hires ex-con.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess once I got into the portal and saw the companies, they were all impact-driven. And there were a lot of education-based startups, too, there was one I almost joined in my match process called Nearpod that's trying to find a way to get affordable tech in public schools in Florida. So I guess I found other opportunities in BFA that could somehow link back to overall development of a community.
Yeah.
Less than development of children in schools.
Yeah.
Which one is more direct, I think you're right, and maybe is more important.
No, not necessarily. Not at all.
Yeah, at the time, I will, kind of a weird quote to give, but maybe there's a little bit of selling out. And again, just a personal decision for my own mental health, feeling like one was just better suited for what I was looking to do.
Yeah. And I don't mean that in a sense of what's the connection? I rather mean that in a way of I have a hypothesis, and I'd love you to tell me whether or not I'm right or wrong, which is, okay. I don't think, despite you having so many influences in your life that might have made education seem really important to you as an issue that needs to get work, that would really value your sort of commitment, I don't think anyone strung together for you the idea that working in a school is something that you could conceive of doing on a day-to-day basis. I think I guess my one way to answer this is has anyone throughout your life asked you whether or not you wanted to be a teacher, or said, hey, you would be a good teacher, or hey, if you're interested in, improving the community, you should be a teacher?
No. I don't think anyone has said that to me before.
Yeah. Not to give the game away, but this is actually one of my hypotheses. One thing that I'm very surprised by is that, I'm an academic advisor at Harvard, and I talk to my freshmen and I talk to my seniors, and I talk to my freshmen saying, hey, have you ever thought about being a teacher? And all of them are like, well, maybe, education is really important to me. And then and they're like, talk to me when I'm a senior. And I talk to them when they're seniors, and they're just like, no one has ever mentioned to me wanting to be a teacher. Like, this is just not what people talk about here. And it was so interesting for me to sort of like hear that people had, like, there wasn't a discourse about becoming a teacher as something that you could do to work on education issues other than like from active recruitment from things like TFA. Has this been your experience?
Have I what?
Has this been your experience?
Oh, this is my experience. Yeah, I guess so. There was also my mom's business involved teaching, and I never did it. That was always something that she did. And I'm very different from my mom, so I guess I was wanting to go off and do something else. But she also never pressured me to do it. If anything, sometimes, like, if I would maybe wish I had, because maybe she needed extra help, but I don't know. As a bratty teenager, I never wanted to.
I can, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've had people tell me that I would be a good lawyer, which people say all the time to each other, because that's a respected profession, and a lot of people are argumentative. No, there was never someone that was like, you should seriously look into education.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. Can I ask about, what was the Venture for America recruitment process? Like, what was the process from you finding out about them all the way through to applying for them to deciding on them?
So I'd actually compare it. It's very similar to the TFA process, kind of. So I also found it at a job fair, but I had heard about it before because I had worked for a startup the year before, and I ended up working for that startup because before that I was trying to get into the film industry, and that tanked. So I just kind of scrambled and found a startup in the middle of the summer and then loved it. It was kind of an initial application, and then after that there was, I think, like an essay I had to write and turn in, and some shorter questions. So I think I remember TFA, there was like a scenario I had to give. There were some short answer questions, like what am I most concerned about, or here's a scenario with a child. It's kind of like that, but except more about like what entrepreneurship means to me, or what I would do in this startup scenario, or why I want to work in a startup. And then after that, there was a Skype interview with a VFA alum who I really connected with. She was from MIT and had decided she didn't want to do anything that she learned at MIT.
Yeah.
And joined VFA. And then after that, there was a selection day, which I would compare to TFA's final interview round.
Yeah.
Where, again, you're in a room with a group of people, and you had judges in there with you, kind of watching you solve a huge variety of scenarios and tasks. So anything from like a PR prompt to a business prompt, or even just building a bridge out of straws, or an ethics prompt. And they watch how you interacted with people.
Yeah.
And you get, a tour of whatever VFA city your selection day is in, and then you get, just like TFA, you end the day with like a one-on-one interview that's much more relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fair interview process.
Yeah. So were you comparing, were you doing this concurrently? You were doing this at the same time as the TFA one? Or did you already have an offer?
I think I did TFA right before TFA. Yeah. And I got the VFA offer, I'm pretty sure right before my TFA last round interview.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shoot. Was it right before? I might be mixing them up. I got one right before the other.
Yeah. And so I guess my question, so were you thinking about both of them at the same time while you were going through it, or were you?
Sorry, I remember now. I did the TFA interview first, And then I did the Venture for America one, and I somehow got my acceptance